Season 6 of What We Do in the Shadows picks up with Guillermo finding his own way apart from the vampires. After deciding to stay human at the end of the last season, he deems it necessary to move forward on his own, so he moves into Laszlo's extracurricular activities shed and finds a new job in an office. Nandor struggles to find his self-respect, thinking he's become too soft since his warrior days. Laszlo decides to continue his previous work of creating human life, starting a Frankenstein storyline for the season. Nadja and Colin take somewhat of a back seat this season with no direct subplot dedicated to them over the course of the entire season. They're both just as present and hilarious, but they are predominantly supporting characters used to serve the main stories of each episode. I was disappointed to see that the show was ending with this season because this is one of my favorite shows currently on television and is one of my favorite comedy shows ever. However, after finishing the season, I do understand why they decided to bow out here because it did feel like the writers were running out of ideas. Most of the season seemed like standard fare, nothing in particular better or worse than most of the other seasons, but the series finale left such a weird taste in my mouth that I do think this season is sticking out as the worst for the show. Before I talk about the finale, I want to talk about what I did and didn't like this season. The characters are as great to watch as ever. I do believe this is one of the most talented comedy casts in TV history. There is not a single weak link in the main group. Harvey Guillen makes Guillermo as lovable as ever. Mark Proksch's, if I pronounce that correctly, his dry delivery as Colin Robinson rounds out the others' personalities where I don't think the show works without him. Matt Berry's comedic timing and line readings as Laszlo are consistently some of the most memorable parts of the show. Natasha Dimitru's presence of Nadja is incredibly strong and keeps everything held together. And Kevin Novak as Nandor somehow makes the most outlandish personality on the show feel relatable. Everybody's timing is still astounding, and the mockumentary style complements all of their performances. I think this show works the best when it does get into the mundanity of vampire life and pokes fun at tropes that have always been present in vampire media, messing with certain expectations in a silly way and staying within the realm of supernatural and gothic horror. My two favorite episodes of this season are Sleep Hypnosis and Laszlo's Father. Both take a concept with relatively low stakes and play with it in a stupidly fun way, particularly Sleep Hypnosis being about the vampires discovering they can hypnotize each other while one is sleeping. And we cut to the next day and Laszlo is cleaning everything for Nadja, and Nandor is talking like Richard Nixon because of Colin. It's stupid, but it works and is when I think the show is at its best. Steve Coogan plays Laszlo's ghostly father throughout his episode, and this show has always been great with its cameos and guest appearances. Coogan fits in as a great foil to Laszlo. Most of the episodes are decent, but the biggest issue with this season was that it had a sense of meandering. It no longer has an overarching story to address because season 5 wraps up Guillermo's desire to be a vampire. So now the main story is about Guillermo getting an office job and most of the vampire group finding a way to work with him. It's funny, and having Tim Heidecker as Guillermo's boss is great, but it's not very interesting. Nandor isn't really given that much agency this season. He's disappointed in himself for not being as ruthless as he used to be, and he regresses as a way to cope with that. And I found this couple episode arc to be pretty repetitive and annoying at times. I also didn't like that the writers seemed to completely move away from any potential romantic relationship between Nandor and Guillermo. There is no tension where there used to be, and the only time it's addressed is in the finale in a dream sequence. They keep their friendship and the actors are great as always, but it was frustrating to see the creators not see that tension through in any real way by addressing it in a realistic way of having it happen or having it not happen, but having some type of answer for it. And making Nandor have a crush on Kristen Shaw's character felt unearned, to say the least. And Laszlo's storyline of trying to create his own Frankenstein's monster is fun and the gags work for the most part, but there is still that feeling of the writers not knowing what to do with Laszlo as a character. One thing I do want to mention is that the costume department went above and beyond for Nadja's wardrobe this season. If you didn't know, Natasha was pregnant during filming for this season and they chose to hide that the best way they could. So her dresses have become bigger and more elaborate. They did a phenomenal job on this. It was really cool to see what they cooked up with every episode, because she had a new outfit pretty much every episode, or multiple outfits in episode. So credit to them. Now to talk about the finale. The reason I didn't like the finale was because its tone was weirdly mean-spirited. The documentary crew decides that they finally have enough footage and packs up and leaves. Everyone reflects on their time together, but outside of Nandor and Guillermo, there's no closure for the other characters. Now, I understand these are sitcom characters, and the goal most of the time is to keep these characters the same throughout the length of the show. It felt like there was some fan service for one thing, but they didn't care to do it for anything else. Everybody is dismissive of Guillermo when he gets upset that things are ending. Credit to Harvey, he plays this really well. But I was expecting some type of sentimentality from the main group. That never really comes. Nadja, Laszlo, and Cullen are more or less pushed to the side, and we don't really get any moments with them. There is this tendency of self-aware comedy to address what it knows an audience wants and kind of laugh at that. It's a hard tightrope to walk, and I don't think it works too well in the finale. At times, it feels like they are kind of mocking the audience more than I think they intended to. And I do like the final two scenes. It brings things full circle, especially with Nandor and Guillermo. But I was disappointed, and it really felt unsatisfied with the way they ended all of it. I do think the ending is somewhat divisive, but in general, people will look back on this show in a good light. I do think this was easily the weakest season, but I do appreciate that it felt like everyone knew it was time to wrap things up. So I will be rating season 6 of What We Do in the Shadows a C+. Now, what did you guys think of this season? My favorite season from the show was season 2, and my other least favorite was probably season 4, just because they made Colin into the kid, which was funny, but not really my thing, to be honest. Let me know what your favorite and least favorite seasons or episodes were, and I will be back with another video.